The ARC of California is thrilled to announce Caring Futures, a groundbreaking program dedicated to supporting caregivers and family members of adults with disabilities. Understanding the unique challenges faced by family caregivers as they age, Caring Futures offers critical assistance, resources, and a supportive community. Today's Caring Conversation is just one part of Caring Futures program here at the ARC of California. There will be a parallel conversation in Spanish as part of Pláticas Amistosas on December 14th, tomorrow at 10 a.m. If you requested ASL, as you can see, we have an ASL interpretation for our discussion today. You can turn on closed captioning by clicking the button in the bar below. You are also invited to stay 10 to 15 minutes longer at the end for a question and answer session with our invited guest. At that time, we'll invite you to raise your hand and ask our guest directly. Hello, everyone. My name is Felisa Strickland. I'm a proud sole parent caregiver for my daughter, Lily. Lily is 23 years old. She has a diagnosis of cerebral palsy, autism, epilepsy, and IDD, and she requires full-time care. We enjoy our life and live in Santa Barbara, California. Alongside full-time caregiving, I am a strong advocate for individuals with disabilities. I serve as a board member for the ARC of California, as well as the Alpha Resource Center of Santa Barbara. I also participate on many committees and enjoy getting involved in fundraisers, advocacy projects in our community. As a Caring Futures instructor and parent educator, I am thrilled to be here for this important conversation with you and our special guest. Today's topic is dealing with holiday stress, ways to prepare yourself and your family member with a disability. I'm excited to introduce our guest. Ms. Rodas is a bilingual, bicultural licensed clinical social worker and psychotherapist currently working with children, adolescents, and adults in her private practice. With over 12 years of extensive training in the field of mental health, her main focus is delivering culturally and linguistically sensitive, trauma-informed, and gender and sexually affirming care. Ms. Rodas is a passionate advocate in the autism and developmental disability communities. She approaches therapy and advocacy by centering the person and supporting the building of networks to honor the functional independence needs, goals, and preferences of people with disabilities. Welcome, Lina. So glad to have you here today.
Happy to be here.
So we want our audience to get to know you. So tell us a little bit about what drew you into psychotherapy as a career, to work with adolescents and young adults with autism and other developmental disabilities, and what you're doing in your practice.
Thank you, Felicia. You know, what drew me in, honestly, short answer is all the amazing parents. The long-winded answer was, starting my career at Children's Hospital Los Angeles and working with the USC Center of Excellence in Developmental Disabilities there. And I started simply helping out families and parents who were struggling with special education. They were struggling with regional center. They were struggling with Social Security. They were just struggling all the time. And, working with a therapist was like, okay, well, we're working on these mental health challenges, but what about all these other things that make it really hard for my kid to show up at school, for me to access all the resources and supports and services so that I'm above water and not constantly feeling like I'm drowning. So I kept meeting parent after parent after parent, and I kept learning from these amazing people, these incredibly resilient and strong, and I mean, so inspiring. I have never met a community of caregivers and parents and aunts and families and all the people, right? The entire network of people who really create this beautiful village. And it was just utterly inspiring to me to meet these people that, again, were these strong, fierce warriors. And I just couldn't believe it. And day after day, it was one foot after the other. And I'm like, how did you wake up today? How did you do this today? Right after we asked, how did the day go? And they'd share all the things that potentially went wrong, but also all the things that went right. And I enjoyed celebrating small things, right? Small things like my child asked me about my day today. My child looked at me in the eyes and they smiled. My child, instead of blowing up today, they grabbed their stress ball or they took a break and they were finally able to give me a hug and not feel so overwhelmed by my touch. I mean, these small little celebrations just created this passion for this community and these young people that, again, people kept saying had potential, but not many people sit and try to understand what does that potential look like? How do we create more opportunities for them to be successful in life and in school and in relationships and in families? Nobody's asking the questions. So
Oh,
yes.
yeah, no, I'm just listening to you. And first of all, as a parent, I just want to say thank you for what you do, because all the things you just mentioned, I'm flashing back through the last 23 years of life with my daughter Lily, and I mean, every single thing you said is absolutely true. There's the struggles, there's the challenges, but there's the joys and the successes and the little things that most parents take for granted, right? Not take for granted, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, they're the milestones, they come when they come, and we celebrate them no matter when they come. So, but having someone like you to actually help families and parents understand that there are coping techniques to the challenges and the different ways that we can celebrate, and helping families identify and access those, that's so important. So thank you for what you do. That's an amazing contribution to our community. I mean, really, really it is. So we're here today because we're talking about holiday stress, right? And we all know that holidays can be stressful for anybody, but they're especially stressful for families with, caring for disabled loved ones. So tell us a little bit about what the biggest sources of stress are for families during the holidays that you've recognized, and specifically, what are your suggestions for families, caregivers of people with disabilities?
Yeah, this is a question I feel like I ponder myself as a parent during the holidays. I have one neurodiverse child and one neurotypical child who's 6, and she's just like, can my brother not touch me today? And I was like, oh, right, that would be good. And how do we show love, right? So all the things. And then I think about my family, and that causes me stress because I'm like, oh, great, let's see what happens this year, and who makes a comment that feels particularly offensive or just insulting or just has no compassion or a desire to understand my child's experience, right? I think that the holidays for people with young people that have, or just any person, a loved one with a disability, or just different, right? Is just experiences the world in different ways. It's stressful, right? Not only because we're balancing the needs of our loved ones along with our expectations about holidays and this really unrealistic expectation that comes around the holidays around holiday cheer and spirit. If I could grab that and throw it out the window, I would. Let's talk about cheer. No, let's talk about the stress of trying to feel happy all the time. I'm sorry. And then I have to worry about, wait, is there something wrong with me? Is there something wrong with my child because they're not completely happy and excited and thinking about Santa and or the gifts or the family gatherings? And I'm just like, wow, I'm not meeting this expectation that somebody decided was the holiday season, right? And I wish I could throw it out the window, because for families with loved ones that require more space, require our environments to be sensory friendly, require empathetic and curious loved ones, right, around us that are just curious about understanding maybe their experience, maybe what they need, maybe instead of focusing on their behavior, what are they trying to communicate? Or how about just a desire to be inclusive? Include my child in all the ways, or in all the ways that they like, in all the ways that they feel comfortable with, and that be okay. And that be okay. And it's just, I think the expectations, along with all the things that come with holidays, the financial burdens, the family gatherings, and all those things make it really, really hard for us as parents and hard for people that have loved ones with disabilities for sure. And I think when we think of help, right, what can we do? Strategies, ways to support not only ourselves, but our loved ones. Here's the thing, folks. we have to be really gentle with ourselves, with our expectations. We have to be realistic. We can't, during the holidays, be baker and chef and organizer of activities and decorator and therapist and occupational therapist and behavioral therapist, speech therapist, parent, and all the things that we have to embody for our children and our loved ones to access the world. This is where we need to be gentle, be more realistic, set some realistic expectations about what we can and cannot do, and that being okay. And that is okay, right? We talk about the holidays being this opportunity to slow down. Not many of us are taking that opportunity. We're like jumping on the next gathering and thinking about the next socialization opportunity for a young person or this amazing thing that we know they're going to enjoy and it's going to light up their life and is overwhelming, is taxing, it is draining as much as it is fun. So we need to also be caring for our own bandwidth, checking in with ourselves. Where am I today? How much do I have? And sitting with our loved one at home could be as equally like amazing as going to a light show that is, great, or a family gathering with 50 people in a small location, right? Thinking about the ways in which we still find meaning in small things. I think that's key. This is a really important time to really lean on our networks, to really lean on support, right? To lean on being transparent with families when we say, hey, we're going and we're going to be here for an hour. And I don't want to be asked 10 times out the door why I'm leaving. I'm going to be there for an hour and that is okay, right? Setting clear boundaries, right? So we're not sitting there having awkward conversations with 10 people about, oh, you're leaving? Oh, that's so sad. Oh, wow, you guys were only here for like an hour, right? How does that make us feel? I'm like, well, this is okay for me. This is what my child or my loved one or myself can really hold. And that again is okay. There's that compassion, right? Our expectations, the way that we phrase them is also really important, right? We often do the should. The holidays should look like this. I should feel like this. My young person or child should be doing X, Y, and Z. Felicia, I see you nodding. I'm
Yes, I
not.
can't. I mean, this is all hitting home for me for sure. Yeah.
So let's try with the shoulds. Because shoulds are expectations. They're not flexible. They're actually the opposite. They're pretty rigid.
Yeah.
They're expectations that somebody has given us or that we've gotten along the way in life, right? I don't know who, but let's not. But let's try instead of I should or he should or they ought to or they must, instead of I wish, I prefer, I'd like, be a little bit more flexible with our language, right? Create flexibility in these expectations for ourselves, for our loved ones, for our families, right? Allowing for it to be a gentle request rather than a demand of ourselves. I
I
should.
love the way you put that. I love the way you put that. That is, I mean, I think back to when my daughter was small and I got so excited about Christmas, right? Because that was so much fun for me and creating these traditions with her. And like you said, the expectations that this is what it's going to look like, right? And then realizing that, we're not going to be decorating our tree with ornaments because she really likes to collect those. And she would, I mean, so finally, it only took me about 5 or 6 years before I said, you know what, we're not going to put ornaments on the tree anymore because I'm afraid she's going to pull it up. And you know what? We still figured out a way to enjoy Christmas with just the lights on the tree. And I let her have the ornaments in the basket, and she was very, very happy. So I think it's about also giving the letting go of the should, but giving yourself permission to change what it's supposed to look like, right? It's okay to change what it's supposed to look like. What does it look like for your family? And allow yourself to redefine what it's supposed to look like. And also, I love the boundaries, talking about the boundaries. And really, the people that care about you and love you and want you as part of the celebration will respect those boundaries, and they'll really understand and want to give you that space at the gathering that you need to be there or not, right? So that's the really good stuff. Really good stuff. Thank you,
Or the
Lina.
not. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So, can you suggest some resources and strategies to navigate or deal with the holiday stress for our parents and family givers of people with developmental disabilities in our audience? I mean, you mentioned a lot of really good things, but are there some other specific things that you would want to share with the audience today?
Yes, there are tons of them, right? There's so many ways, I mean, to provide ourselves the support. When we think of what you were just sharing, the ways that we redefine, right? The simple ways where we think of what does it look like for me and my family? And it does not need to be the Hallmark card that we've grown up looking at, right? It can be what makes me happy, what reduces my stress, what makes my young person or loved one enjoy the space and find meaning and joy. Because isn't that what holidays is about, right? All, joy and happiness. So let's not do the things that add to our plate. So I always say, ask the why. Why are we torturing our young person to take a picture with Santa? Why? Is it for you, or because it's supposed to, or because everybody's posting their Santa picture? Or is it because every tradition that you've had always had the Santa? Again, the why. Why did I bring my child to church and sit through an hour of sitting on this chair, being surrounded by people and music and sounds and so much sensory, right? Why? Right? Because it is a tradition, because it's part of what we believe, because it's necessary for their spirit and their soul, the whys, right? So I always start with the why and a reminder to ask ourselves what is on our plate, how much can we hold, how much is on our loved one's plate, how much can they hold? And again, if at the end is about joy and meaning, how much joy and meaning do we find when we're constantly going, stop, sit down, don't do that. When I can't listen to something, my loved one or my child can't listen to something, who's accessing anything other than we're just meeting, right? Some expectation about being present, but not really being present because we're so frustrated. And then no one's having fun. I mean, I'm not having fun when I'm trying to do something that I know for a fact my young person cannot do. It's simply an expectation that I placed on them that was unrealistic and on myself. So strategies, always ask ourselves the why before we do, asking ourselves what's on my plate as opposed to adding, because we're all really good at adding. Like, bring it on. Okay, I'll do that. I can make the casserole. Oh, yes, I'll do the cookies. No, that's the biggest one. That's the biggest strategy is the no. The being okay with being actually, I'm trying to take things off my plate, not add to it. I'm trying to learn to prioritize myself at some point in the year of 365 days. I might have thought about myself 2 of those days, maybe one, right? So our plates, let's try to remove, not add during the holidays. That's enough. We have a lot to do. Pacing things out, folks. We can have things on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday. We don't have to do it all. Let's try for a Monday, maybe a Sunday, maybe a once a week. You know your young person, you know your loved one. Pace it out. Regional center, folks. Let's talk about all the things they can do but don't often do, but they can be incredibly helpful. Let's talk about those community integration people. Let's talk about the ILS. Let's talk about the respite. Let's talk about the IHSS. Let's talk about all the people that in definition are there to help prepare your young person or loved one, right? They could do a lot of work with preparing, practicing. What do we do in families? Where do we sit? How do we navigate this space? That is the literal function of those providers. Use them as prep persons, use them as planners, use them to create toolbox for your young person. Let's pack your bag. Let's put all the things you're going to need. Maybe some noise canceling headphones, maybe your weighted blanket, maybe your favorite plushie. What are things that you can bring with you that are going to feel safe? So again, really preparing preemptively. And hey, if you have a party on the 18th and your ILS person is still working, hey, great. You know what? You're coming with us for that party. You're coming with us to that outing. You're coming with us. Here is the day I need you, right? And if you can't be available, I need to work around this. Here are my events. These are the things I need you for, because that is in the job description, folks. That is the support That is the modeling, that is the advocacy, that is all the things that are literally listed under an ILS, that are listed under community integration, that are listed under adaptive skills training, that are listed, right? So really utilizing during this time. Also our respite. This is a great time to go get your hair cut. Great time to get your nails done. Great time to get a massage, folks. We can all find those $30 massage people. We know where they are. You can do it. We all can do it. Use the respite for what they are. They're intended so that you can take care of yourself, so that you can do the things that you need to do, so that you can be there for your loved one. Because guess what, folks? You're the motor. And guess what happens when the motor breaks or shuts down or it starts to sputter? The car doesn't move. You are the most important person in your loved one's life. And sometimes in pursuit of their happiness, we often sacrifice so much of ourselves, our energy, our mental health, our physical well-being, because we didn't attend that appointment, right? That we forget if we break down, we actually can't be there for our loved one. We actually can't show up for them. We actually physically cannot make their appointments, their sessions, anything, because we are no longer able to. So in pursuit of that love for our loved ones, in pursuit of their well-being, in pursuit of all the things we want for them in their future, a reminder that you are modeling. You are teaching your loved one what love looks like, what self-love looks like, what self-care looks like. You are teaching what healthy boundaries look like. You are teaching how to say no, how to say not right now. Let me think about it. Actually, I don't have the bandwidth for that. You are teaching such a valuable thing. And the holidays offer us so many opportunities for boundaries, so many opportunities to say no, so many opportunities to say, you know what, today is a mental health day. Today is a day where you get to do what you'd like to do. I get to do what I want to do, mind you, within the boundaries of safety. Our young people can be really creative sometimes, but again, allowing for, like we call it a no nothing day, right? These nothing days where we put our expectations over there, we put our responsibilities over there, and we remind ourselves that the world will not end with one day of us sitting or laying or walking, whatever that looks like, of doing absolutely nothing, where you just sit and be with yourself. Maybe eat your favorite food, your favorite snack, go to your favorite restaurant, go to your walk, be out in nature, breathe, folks, breathe, 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 right? These are all the things we model. These are all the things we give. These are important skills for them in their future. And the no's, folks, as a therapist, as a person that has done tons and tons of work with sexual education and sexual advocacy and assertiveness and communication, we talk a lot about the vulnerability of our young ones and our loved ones that have disability, because they are vulnerable. No's are ways that we can help our loved ones, right? Setting boundaries around who can touch them and asking permission for touch. These are so important for reducing risk in the future. So when we say no, we teach them they can too. When we set a boundary around who can hug us or touch us, we teach them that they can too. When we ask permission for someone to hug us, touch us, or come into our personal space, we teach them that people need to ask them permission as well. There's so many layers and so many ways in which small things like no's, small things of like, no, actually, I can shake your hand, thank you, can translate to such bigger impacts.
Oh my gosh, you have given us so much to think about. I mean, I could listen to you all day. I mean, I just feel like I got my morning pep talk, listening to all the different things in different ways that we can implement these strategies and be a teacher at the same time. I mean, I love that. That is so meaningful. And the tips that you gave, the why and the no, and very, very simple things that I think all of us are actually trying to get to that place anyway, right? Whether we have a person in our life with a disability or not, creating those boundaries for yourself, just makes that journey all the easier. So these are wonderful strategies, and I'm so glad that we got this chance to talk today. So in ending our conversation today, what is the most important thing you want us to remember about holiday stress and being a family caregiver?
That it's stressful. Yes, that the Hallmark cards are not accurate, that there's no such thing as a perfect anything or a perfect anybody.
So
That doesn't exist.
we have permission then to change what that looks like for us, right? We can create our own holiday joy, however that looks the best for our family. And I think that's a great place to end it. That's something that I wanted to flash back to the story about my daughter with the tree and the ornaments. I just wanted to let everyone know that for about 10 years, we just had lights on our tree. And about 5 years ago, I bought her first seal ornament. Seal's one of her favorite words. And she actually now helps me decorate the tree, and all the ornaments stay on the tree. So never give up. You can still go back to your own childhood dream of what your Christmas is supposed to look like, but modifications are good, accommodations are good, and give yourself permission to do that for your family, for your loved one, and for your own self-care. Just like you said, for your own self-care. What does that mean to you? Well, I think that I can't say enough how much I've enjoyed this conversation with you, Lina. Thank you so much for being here with us today.